The night wolf in the city never slept. Its streets pulsed with life, the neon glow of signs flickering against the wet pavement. Yet, on this night, an unnatural stillness settled over the alleys of Blackmore City. Something lurked in the darkness, unseen yet undeniable. Nathan Reed, a taxi driver finishing his shift, pulled into a quiet side street to smoke a cigarette. The humid air pressed against his skin as he leaned against his cab, exhaling a cloud of smoke. The alley was deserted, save for the occasional scurrying rat. Then a noise, low, guttural, and human. Nathan turned, expecting a stray dog. But what stepped into the dim light of the flickering street lamp wasn't a dog. It was huge, easily 7 feet tall on all fours, covered in matted black fur. Its yellow eyes gleamed, fixed on him with hunger. Nathan dropped his cigarette. The creature lunged. The impact knocked the air from his lungs as razor-sharp claws tore through his chest. He tried to scream, but the beast sank its fangs into his throat, shaking him like a rag doll. Blood splattered the alley walls, painting them red. The last thing Nathan saw was those gleaming eyes before darkness swallowed him whole. The next morning, the police found what was left of Nathan Reed. His body was torn apart, ribs protruding from his chest cavity, organs missing. Detective Sarah Cole had seen her share of gruesome murders, but nothing like this. Jesus Christ, her partner, Officer Daniels, muttered, covering his nose. What the hell did this? Sarah crouched, studying the deep claw marks carved into the pavement. Not a man, she whispered. Blackmore City wasn't new to violence, but this was different. The sheer savagery of the kill sent chills through her. She examined the corpse, noticing something horrifying. Chunks of flesh were missing, but they weren't torn off like an animal feeding. They were chewed like whatever did this had a taste for human meat. As the city woke up, news of the brutal killing spread like wildfire. The tabloids called it the Beast of Blackmore. Fear gripped the streets. People stopped walking alone at night. The bars emptied earlier than usual. But despite the fear, no one truly believed in monsters. Until the second attack. Midnight. A couple, Jeremy and Lisa, staggered down an alley after a late night at the pub. They laughed, oblivious to the danger lurking in the shadows. Then a snarl. Lisa gasped, grabbing Jeremy's arm. Did you hear that? Jeremy waved a dismissive hand. Relax, babe. Just a dog. The shadows moved. The beast emerged, towering over them. Its massive jaws hung open, saliva dripping onto the pavement. The scent of blood clung to its fur. Jeremy barely had time to react before it was on him. The creature's jaws clamped around his face, crushing bone with sickening ease. Lisa's scream echoed through the night as she stumbled backward, slipping in Jeremy's pooling blood. She tried to run. The creature was faster. Claws slashed across her back, sending her sprawling. She barely turned before it ripped her open, intestines spilling onto the cold concrete. The beast fed, tearing into her flesh with ravenous hunger, blood matting its fur. The city awoke the next morning to another nightmare. Detective Sarah Cole stared at the crime scene, stomach churning. 2 more victims torn apart as if by a wild animal. The press swarmed, their cameras flashing. What the hell is going on in this city? Daniels muttered, pale as he stared at the bodies. Sarah clenched her jaw. We're dealing with something not human. That night, she loaded her gun, determined to find whatever was responsible. She drove through the abandoned streets, following the patterns of the killings. Every attack had happened near the old industrial district. She parked outside an abandoned warehouse, the scent of decay heavy in the air. A low growl sent a shiver down her spine. She turned, too late. A blur of black fur slammed into her, knocking her to the ground. Her gun skidded away. The beast loomed over her, its breath hot against her skin. But something was off. Its yellow eyes weren't just animalistic. They were human. The creature hesitated, staring at her with something almost like recognition. Then, with a snarl, it vanished into the darkness. Sarah lay there, heart pounding. This wasn't just some wild animal. It was something worse. The truth in blood. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah researched every missing person case in the city. One name stood out. Michael Carter, a man reported missing months ago, last seen near the industrial district. His file revealed something chilling. He had been researching lycanthropy. A werewolf. Sarah wanted to dismiss it as superstition. But after what she'd seen, she couldn't ignore the truth. The night wolf wasn't just a mindless beast. It had once been human. And it would kill again. Armed with silver bullets, Sarah tracked the creature to an abandoned slaughterhouse. The stench of death hung thick in the air. A low growl rumbled through the darkness. She raised her gun. I know who you are. she called out. Michael Carter. The shadows shifted. The beast stepped into the dim light, its yellow eyes locked onto hers. For a moment it hesitated. Then with a snarl it lunged. Sarah fired. The silver bullet tore through its chest. The beast howled, thrashing as blood poured from the wound. It collapsed, its body convulsing. Then before her eyes it began to change. The fur receded. The claws shrank. The monstrous form withered into that of a man, a broken, bleeding man with eyes filled with sorrow. Michael Carter gasped for breath, reaching for her. I didn't want this, he rasped. Sarah knelt beside him, watching the life fade from his eyes. The nightmare was over, or so she thought. Epilogue. The curse never ends. Days passed and the city returned to normal. The killing stopped. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then one night she woke in a cold sweat. Her body ached. Her teeth throbbed. And as she stumbled to the mirror, she saw them, her eyes glowing yellow in the dark. The curse had found a new host. The night wolf would rise again.